Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Guys, I'm so excited. I can't even get out my words. We did it. We finally won an NCAA tournament game. March Madness is favorable now. It is in vogue now for the Texas Longhorns to have some type of success in the big dance, the biggest stage, right? That's why a lot of fans from different teams have been crying about not making the tournament because it means something. So for Texas to, fulfill this opportunity against Virginia Tech today, 8 years, 8 years, right? And so, great win today. Feisty 11 seed in Virginia Tech. You got to take their hats off to them winning the ACC tournament, knowing that they needed to win the ACC tournament to get into the dance. They were a tough out all the way through, as we saw, but this Texas team, their defense, their resilience, and their toughness, battle tested. Talked about this in football with the NFC West this season, and the battle tested aspect of that. This Texas team in the Big 12, these Big 12 teams, I mean, look at them right now in the tournament. I know Iowa State is still outstanding with LSU, but the success that these Big 12 teams are having, I went and saw Baylor and Kansas yesterday in Fort Worth. Um, it's a different league. It's a different league, and it's crazy to say that because coming from the ACC, I grew up in ACC country, and these Big Ten teams, and we're getting ready to face a Big Ten school on Sunday. But it's just wild to see, the physicality and the level of basketball that we play, and that battle tested aspect. You saw it wear down in the second half. So I'm gonna get into to breaking all this down. Let's jump in here in the chat. It's victory. It's a victory Friday right now. We taking our victory lap. So hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Show us some love. It would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Also, I want to give a few quick shout outs before we jump in and get to y'all's comments. First off, the BUSR. Shout out to our sponsor, BUSR, official sportsbook, official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective, BUSR.com/Fanatic. Bet $1. 10K contest is still going on through the Elite Eight. So you bet on any game. Today, I bet the over on 125. I didn't want to jinx Texas and bet Texas, but I did bet on them hitting the over, which they did. And, this is really a great time to take advantage of some of these games because some of these lines are really out of whack. So great opportunity to take advantage. And shout out to BOSR for putting that contest together. Great sponsor. The other thing I wanted to also run through and announce, and I see Queen in here. They are doing, and when I say Queen Candace, those of you who follow her on Twitter, I'm just going to read this off because I want to help spread the word. So on March 26th in Austin, and please follow us on Twitter so you can see the announcement. March 26th in Austin, and I'll share the flyer because they do have a location, 1 to 3 p.m., a signing with Justice Finkley. So Queen, if you want to put some of those details in there, but a meet and greet and a signing with Justice Finkley. They're accepting all forms of payment, cash, Venmo, debit, credit. Can take a free selfie with him. And these are some more events that are being set up through the compliance where we get access to our student athletes. So please go show some support. I know Queen's worked really, really hard to put that event together. Like I said, I've been sharing it on Twitter, March 26th, the signing and meet and greet with Justice Finkley in Austin. Now, to some Texas hoops. I want to say this before I even get into to breaking everything down. I want to say thank you to Andrew Jones, to Courtney Ramey, to Brock Cunningham, to Jace Febris. Those guys in particular, those guys that stuck around. Because there was some weird stuff that was said on the broadcast, by the way, and we'll get to that later. But those guys that have been in this program for years and have been through it, whenever you're through a coaching change, obviously we all know what Andrew Jones has been through. And AJ1, for him to come out and hit 5 triples in the first half, I was actually frustrated in the first half because we only had 34 points as a team. When somebody goes off like that, you're supposed to have a 50-point half, but they made up for more than enough on the offensive end in the second half. But in the first half, Andrew Jones, and we've talked about this a lot on Twitter Spaces, guys, but who's the bucket getter? Who's the guy that can ignite this team offensively? A lot of the year we thought, hey, Timmy Allen, Marcus Carr, probably our best players, right? But they're not always in that get a bucket mode. Now, we saw that from Marcus today, and we'll get to him. But Andrew Jones, last month of the season, when he really kind of started slipping the rotation, they moved him to that 6-man role, trying to figure out lineups, figure out, who should do what, when to take over. He has stepped up. He's asserted himself, and he's always aggressive. When he's coming off a screen, he's always squaring up, ready to shoot. Whether he's making shots or not, I actually think his shot selection has improved significantly. He clearly has stuff in his bag. He has enough to where he can get by his man and get to the cup when need be, so you can't play sag defense on him, and you got to play up on him because he will shoot the rock. So shout out to him. Courtney Ramey, taking on defensive assignment after defensive assignment. He's always been a good defender and keyed up, but I think what Chris Beard has unlocked with him is using him like just a flat-out stopper. Hey, every night we're going to give you the assignment of guarding the best, perimeter guy, right? And so, that Hunter Cantor guy who went off in the ACC tournament, they're talking about, oh, boy is off. Well, Courtney Ramey has a lot to do with that. And like I said before, I believe, in my opinion, he should have been first team all Big 12 defense. I stand by that. He is, the work he did. If you're going to sit up here and say that Obaji on Kansas is all everything, unanimous, all everything, which I agree with, then what are we looking at when he effectively shut that dude down twice? Right. And then you see what he did with a hot shooter, a hot offensive player on Virginia Tech today. He's probably going to draw the Jaden Ivey assignment on Sunday. So that's going to be a handful. But in terms of right now, this is what winning feels like, guys. And I know there's stuff we're going to get into and nitpick, and there's stuff we're going to be critical of. I see some of the comments rolling in now, but let's stop and take a breath. And, I've been as hard as anybody recently on Chris Beard. I see JR. He said he ended with some lick. I got to put that up. That's a hell of a comment. And I want to get back to what Jess said. That's funny. He said, I'm turned right now. Drink up, bro. Drink up. It's fun when you can drink for good reasons. You can drink for good reasons. But Jess, thank you for the super chat you sent earlier in the donation. I saw that up top, brother, and I appreciate that. But in regards to Chris Beard, I've been very critical of him and the lack of accountability that I thought was shown after the Big 12 tournament. And, hey, we can't end the season losing 4 straight games. I know Baylor was in there. I know Kansas was in there. I know all those things. But from what was expected of this team and what they've shown, especially on defense, hey, I want to see them continue to progress and continue to get better. And so I will give Chris Beard credit, for getting us over the hump and winning a tournament game. He regardless of how you feel about his style of play, is it the type of basketball I like to watch? No, but I like to win. And if he's the dude that wins in March and that's the way it has to be, then I'm with it. 100%. I'm with it. And I have to give him credit too for really the way the guards defended today in their game plan of attacking and the adjustment that was made, because we actually struggled with a lot of the backdoor cuts early in the game, especially that brother on the weak side that was left-handed that kept diving in and we just seemed clueless on it. And we really started crashing with our guards. I saw us trapping a lot more aggressively. It's not even just, the offensive stuff. I think that we have some terrific, you know, athletes in terms of guards and quickness and bodies to where we can really, really overwhelm ball handlers and harass people in mid-court. And I just haven't seen that enough. And I thought they did a tremendous job at that today. I liked when they decided every now and again, either coming out of a TV timeout or coming off a free throw, to throw in a little press here and there. Not anything crazy, but just to speed other people up and getting them into turnovers to where you can create some possessions and some easy buckets and getting your team going. So just across the board, I mean, I thought that was good coaching. I thought those were good adjustments that were made on the part of Chris Beard. But going into, we'll talk about Sunday here in a sec. But this is why, Kaysen said it. This is why we hired the guy. And so definitely happy for the win. Definitely happy for the win. Now we want to get to the Sweet 16. I know we have a very tough opponent ahead of us in the 3 seed, the Purdue Boilermakers. As they said on the broadcast, Chris Beard is 2-0 against Purdue. I think both of those were Matt Painter teams. And so, we do have his number. They are looking for revenge against Chris Beard. But in terms of this basketball team, I'm the happiest for Jones, Ramey, Febris, Cunningham, all those the guys that stayed. Those are the guys I'm really, 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 really happy for, knowing what they've been through. This win was for them. Now, in terms of the game as well, Marcus Carr hitting that shot, the buzzer beater. His offensive shot making ability is particular because he did play a good game. He was in control. They talk about March guard play. He was doing an excellent job managing the game, facilitating the whole bit. But when he got into his bag after hitting that shot, basketball is such a game of confidence. It's such a game of confidence. Sometimes you just got to see something go in, or some of those crazy off-platform shots, which he's been good at all year. I was so happy to see him get rolling, and because that's the guy we recruited. That's the guy everybody was after. That's the guy that people were saying was the number one player in the transfer portal for a reason, for that rare shot making ability, his mid range, his ability to get his and get a good look off his handle. Timmy Allen getting going, another guy in the transfer portal that's just mentioned. We know what his little brother did the other night. You can't let your brother go off like that and you go out sad. You can't have that, right? So Teddy Allen putting in work for New Mexico State, Timmy Allen coming back and putting in work for Texas. And even when Timmy didn't have it going at the Cup, you could tell he was struggling a little bit with the Virginia Tech length and getting a little flustered. I felt like he was, and he's so good at getting people, when he's aggressive, getting people in foul trouble. He's really, really good at manipulating his body, getting into making the defender, whether it's an up fake, whether it's, getting somebody's body into his, and, as he's going up, all sorts of things. So I do believe, I do believe that's something to where, moving forward, obviously we're going to have to go up against some excellent big men in Purdue. How do we get those guys out of the game? How do we get those guys playing with fouls? That's something to where Timmy Allen's going to have to use his old man game and manipulate those guys so we can have the whistle in our favor. Our bigs are way more athletic than that 7-footer. Drive on that dude. Jess, I hear you. We got to do it though. We've struggled against size and length in the front court all year. Starting with Christian Bishop, I think Christian Bishop had and he was dealing with fouls today. That he's going to have a hell of an assignment on his hands as, our real lone true big. Because Timmy's in and out, but that 7-footer on Purdue, they got him listed at what, 7'4"? And then the other one, Williams, is like 6'10", 6'11", 250. So they're big guys. We have struggled with that. You look at Flo Thamba and David McCormick, even Eddie Lampkin against TCU. We've had problems with bigs. So this is going to be a hell of a challenge. One thing I saw today, because Virginia Tech had some guys that could, score their back to the basket too. And I thought a good adjustment we made, again, the guards helping out on those traps, on those guys, cutting down onto the baseline, harassing the bigs, and knocking the ball out. There was a point there in the game where the big, I think it was Mutz on Virginia Tech. He's turning into a trap. He doesn't see it coming. So things like that, to where we can really harass. Now, where Purdue is very balanced is you got a top 5 NBA pick at guard with Jaden Ivey that you got to deal with, who, in my opinion, is a 1-for-1 athlete in college basketball, all of college basketball. Go look up his mixtapes, his highlights. The guy can fly, and he's quick. It reminds me, he's got some of that Derrick Rose, old school Russell Westbrook type, Zach LaVine type athleticism. So that's going to be a handful for our guys. But, Purdue's not in. I mean, there's a reason why they're a 3 seed and not a 1 seed with all that talent. And Chris Beard's had success against Matt Painter. And the other thing too, I think, which is starting to be real, our physicality overall, and how, just the hunt we've been through. These teams, it's a little different when we get out of the Big 12 and they get out of their conference. Everybody's been so used to being in their bubble, so to speak. So now that everybody, is seeing a different type of opponent or a different type of approach, you could kind of see our guys, especially in the second half, breathe a little easier, especially offensively, where it's like, this guy's not defending me the way old boy on TCU was, or in my kid, just up on me, especially when you're familiar with other teams too. When you play everybody twice, in some cases 3 times, and you're running the same sets, there's so much familiarity there. Now, when you get some of that new blood in there, Texas is certainly battle tested. I want to look at some of the comments here. Somebody said on Facebook, Paxton said, Trey Mitchell will be missed. Yeah, I mean, whether Trey Mitchell was here or not, I mean, that was going to be an issue with the size. So we'll have to see. I loved how the guards helped out, though. That's really our only way out of this. It has to be a full, all hands on deck effort from everybody. The way we offensive rebounded today was impressive. Offensive rebounds was good. We ended up with 9. I think we had 6 in the first half. We were really hitting the boards hard at the beginning of the game. Thank you, Shane. Yeah, y'all definitely like the video. Taking attendance in here. Taking a victory lap as Texas wins their first tournament game in 8 years. 81-73. March Madness is here. We actually have something to look forward to. Sunday's going to be fun. Sunday fun day. And the pressure's on Purdue, not Texas in this case. We're not the underdogs. We're the underdogs in that one, and I'm comfortable with that. No, you're not the only one turned right now, Chad. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. That's what I'm saying. We got to just take a breath right now, just to let it actually sink in. I want to get back to some of the other comments. Yeah, so, all right. Yeah, that was weird why they kept showing the kids and his daughters. It got to the point where it was uncomfortable, so hopefully CBS can adjust that. It's one thing to show a guy's wife, but showing the kids that many times, and just, I get it. It's a production. It's a TV show. It's entertainment. They're trying to build up storylines and heartstrings, especially for people, because you got to think about it, like the viewers that are watching A lot of people tuning in have not. That's probably the first time they've watched Texas. A lot of people's case, that's the first time they've watched Virginia Tech. So they're going to find different things to look at. But and personally, there was no need. Let them enjoy that moment. Let them enjoy that game. I wouldn't want. I don't have children, but I wouldn't want my teenage daughters just somebody sitting there with a camera on them. That's just me. I mean, if somebody else says I'm tripping, then so be it. But I actually agree with Michael Lynn's opinion here. The other thing too, the lady that was commentating, I thought she was very, very good. Number one, she's better than a lot of the some of the NBA players that do color commentary, and I won't say their names, but I didn't understand why she kept saying that Chris Beard's ahead of expectations by getting Texas to the NCAA tournament. I don't want people to be A, misinformation to be out there, and B, we do this thing sometimes where we start rewriting history to fit a narrative. Let's be very clear. This was a top 10 team in a lot of polls, top 5 coming into the season. No one, even if you didn't think they were that good, there were people that were skeptical at that point in time after all the people came into the portal. Even if you didn't think they were that good, there was nobody I ever heard that said Texas isn't a top 25 team, let alone, oh, well, he's just got to get him into the tournament. Nobody said that. So let's be very careful with just saying anything on a broadcast. It's nitpicking, but it was irking me because I'm like, the expectation was that we would win, games. Exactly. We were a 3 seed last year. And yeah, we turned over the roster, but we turned over the roster with a bunch of dudes that everybody was trying to get out of the portal. And a bunch of teams flipped their rosters with the portal. So that was silly. And because when people start saying that, then it alters expectations to what they really should be. Because then you get he doesn't need to get credit for getting them to the tournament. He is getting credit right now from me, from my lips to your ears, from my lips to the Lord's ears. He's getting credit for me for winning a tournament game. That's impressive. We haven't done it in 8 years, almost a whole decade since we won a tournament game. Absolutely, 2 thumbs up, 100%. But we're not paying a coach $5 million and did all what we did just for that to be it, right? So let's just be careful with what things like that get said. Let's get to some of the other comments. Oh, Chris B, I can tell you how Marquette fans are feeling. I went to the game yesterday. They played here in Fort Worth. And they played, they got bludgeoned by North Carolina. I'm going to say this too. Shaka's looking bad right now, especially from Texas fans. There's no doubt about it. And I think Shaka can coach. That's not a question. That Marquette team was a 13-win team, and he did get them to the tournament. He does deserve credit for that, considering where their program was. But they looked so scared. And I tell you that when I was looking at some of those Marquette fans yesterday and how the team was playing, and I'm looking at their face, I'm like, I've been there. I know what you're going through. I can relate. You were seen. You were heard, and I'm with you. I will say this though. Marquette played. They picked their worst time. That they couldn't shoot to save their lives. They were terrible yesterday. But even if they played well, they weren't going to beat North Carolina. When North Carolina plays like that, and I'm saying that to say this. If North Carolina plays like that again on Saturday, they will beat Baylor if they play at that level. Because that's the level that those kids, RJ Davis and Caleb and all them dudes, Like when they're feeling it and they're actually sharing the basketball and making their shots. Brady Manick had like 30 and 10, looking like Larry Bird out there. If they start playing like that and hooping like that with Bacot in the middle, Baylor can't deal with all that. No disrespect. That's going to be tough. The problem is North Carolina is and people that have watched North Carolina basketball, they will turn around and not guard anybody and just not be engaged and not paying attention. Like they're like the ADD team. It's weird. And they're just completely out of it. So, yeah, we'll see. Consistency matters in March as well. That's why I was skeptical of this Texas team coming into the tournament, because we saw how they were offensively. And we saw in the first half, I mean, they started the game 6 for 22. And I think the beginning of the game was nerves. It's nerves. We missed some layups and stuff. But as we got settled in and, stayed with the hard hat defensively, fighting through screens, not allowing Virginia Tech to get comfortable from the outside, making them take it, making them pay for their lazy passes, especially off of some of the screens and whatnot. We stuck with our stuff to where when we started getting hot, Andrew Jones hitting all them damn threes, it was a party from there. It was a party from there. Damn, well, last time we got to the second weekend, that was the DJ Augustine team. I think that's the team that lost to Memphis. Derek and D Rose. That was a good team. Damian James, Augustine. I think Abrams was there. It was a good team. Good guards on that team. We had our guards crapped on Virginia Tech's guards today. That was a huge difference in the game. Andrew Jones in the first half, Marcus Carr going off in the second half. We had all 5 starters, by the way, in double figures. When was the last time that happened? For all my Kim Palm analytics heads. All 5 guys in double figures. We got to the free throw line, 17 to 22. Our numbers across the board are good. 47% from the field, 53% from 3, made 10 out of 19. Almost 80% from the line. I'll take it. Had less than 10 turnovers. Not bad. I've seen this where we've been, 14, 15 turnovers. But, our guys especially, really picked it up. I will say this too. Points matter. I've been saying, Texas, y'all need to get over 70 points. We can't keep trying to beat people and we're only scoring 58 points and 60 points and things of that sort. So hitting 81 today is big deal for me. Having a 47-point half is a big deal for me. No more 20-point halves. No more 30-point halves. This time you got to be, 35 points per half and above, right? If you want to keep going, because that's the one thing, you're not going to shut Purdue down to the point where they're only going to have 55 points or anything like that. So we're going to have to maintain some pace. And honestly, for ourselves, if we're scoring, we're playing with more confidence. It's easier to be more engaged. So we really need to get to the point where, we're up in those numbers there, especially this time of year. Got to score some buckets. I agree with this. We are going to have to play better, especially closing the game. We should have blown out Virginia Tech. When you really look at how well we were able to defend the 3-point line, the fact that we had Ramey strapping like that, we really should have blown them out. So we are going to have to play better. But the good thing is, you still win the game, still comfortable. Even when they went on that the whole Brock Cunningham, weird foul situation, the 7 points and all that, I felt fine. I never felt like, we're this game's in jeopardy. Honestly, the moment Marcus Carr hit those 2, kind of pull up 15, 16 footers, and we started, expanding the gap, because 6-point lead in that game felt like a 12-point lead just with the way the game flow was. So I felt comfortable. I really, really did. Shout out, good call out, Randy. Shout out to the Lady Horns, Big 12 champions, going on. I think they can make a run. That's a team. Now that's a team that's ahead of schedule, by the way. Now this Texas team, if they go on a run, they'll be ahead of schedule. But we got to see it play out. But this Texas women's team, what they've done all season, because the season still does matter. I do think it is. I'm not with these people that say conference championships are irrelevant. Like, I do think I will celebrate the fact that they won the Big 12. Like, that's cool to me. So I give them credit there. Derek said we should play Purdue with a ton of confidence on Sunday. We defended really well, shot really well, particularly in the second half. Yep. We're going to have to score. We're going to have to keep scoring, Derek. I'm big on points, man. When you end up, I don't care how well you defend, when you end up with a 20-point half, you're not going to go very far in March. And we defend well. Don't get me twisted. Don't get me twisted. We defend well, but we don't defend well enough. I mean, Virginia Tech, now the numbers are kind of skewed because we gave up so many layups at the end with how the game flow was going. So Virginia Tech was still able to get to 73 and still shot almost 50% today. But we turned them over, and we managed the game pretty well defensively, especially early. I do think, though, we don't defend the way Tony Bennett and Virginia did a few years ago, where they were just like, where it was crazy and they were holding people to like 45 and 50 points. We don't defend at that level. So we do need to be honest with ourselves. But I will say this, there's a list, for all the Kim Pom heads, there's a list of teams. I think it's the teams that finish in the top 40 offensive efficiency, in the top 40 or top 25 defensive efficiency. It's a very short list. I think Texas and Purdue are on that list. Arizona, I think Duke, Kansas, Baylor, Gonzaga, Tennessee. I think the only team that's on there that's out right now is Kentucky. It was a very somebody knows what I'm talking about. It's a very short list of teams from an efficiency on offense. We're not just talking about overall points. We're talking about shot, the whole bit, and efficiency on defense. Texas was on that list, and it wasn't even 10 teams that qualify for that. So I think Purdue was on there too, if I'm not mistaken. So you're going to have two teams playing each other on that efficiency list. But it goes to show the potential that Texas does have when they play like they showed in the second half today. There was times where I felt like we were playing the way we played against TCU the first time we played them, when we played them at TCU, where we really, really got it going. Thank you, whoever said I'm getting you the list right now. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It's tough with Askew, Derek, because he does defend so well. And I don't think Devin Askew's a bad offensive player. He's just reluctant. He's got everything. And I will say this. It's going to happen, and it's going to have to happen in the offseason, because the season, you are what you are at this point in the year. But they've got to figure out how to unlock him next season, because we are going to need it. All these guys aren't going to be around to shoulder the load, and you're going to have young guys coming in. Now we'll see what the transfer portal brings, but when you have young guys coming in and he's the mainstay coming back, you got to look for your shot more, the same way Marcus Carr did, getting it back. And I'm not saying Devin Askew has back type. He's really more of a traditional point guard than Marcus is. But even on some of the rotations, it's like, bro, you got all this space, man. Just go ahead and shoot. Look for your shot. Watch your boy Andrew Jones. Andrew Jones, when he's coming off a screen, watch his eyes, watch his feet. He's already squaring up off the catch, or when he's hedging and he's coming around off, bending off, and he's catching, and he's able to go right into his. That's really good aggressiveness. Yeah, I was at that game too. They look fantastic that night. They've shown signs, man, where they play their defense, where they do get a little bit more aggressive than we typically see sometimes, depending on the opponent. That's why I'm very curious to see how they're going to guard Jaden Ivey and what the plan is for him, because I don't know if just throwing Ramey at it is enough. I think you might have to do some of the things that Beard did, some of the tactics he utilized against James Akinjo, where you were throwing doubles at him in the half court, kind of trapping, those type of things, and forcing him to give up the basketball very, very early. So I'm really, really curious to see how we deal with that. I don't think you can just, because it's not Abaji and those type of guys are different players. Even the guy today, that's a very, very good shooter. Whereas Jaden Ivey, there's times in the open court where you see him fly down 2 steps and it's a dunk. We haven't seen that type of you guys are going to see what I'm talking about on Sunday. We haven't seen that type of athlete this year. He's a 1-for-1 in the NBA. Like, somebody, a brother tagged me today talking about Steve Francis. Like, that's somebody who can jump with Steve Francis. So I'm very curious to see what we do to attack him today, because I think I didn't watch Purdue much today, but I did see Ivey did finish with 22 points, limited minutes. The big man, what's his name? Zach Edey or Edey? Zach Edey. I think he had 16 and 10 today. So we're gonna have our hands full with Matt Painter's bigs and his NBA guard. But we got a feisty bunch. Longhorn Rider, thank you. Okay. This is the list I'm talking about. I think so. Yeah, adjusted offensive efficiency, adjusted defensive efficiency. It's a very, very short list. I see. I didn't even realize Purdue wasn't on the list. Excuse me, I misspoke there. Kentucky isn't on the list either. But we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, only 9 teams that qualify for this. Just to give you an idea. And I've seen some other stats and whatnot. But just watching these games and seeing how some of them are playing out, where you see some teams get overwhelmed and whatnot. That's always where I did feel good about Texas in a tournament situation. And I think why Chris Beard has always had success in the NCAA tournaments. He does load up so much focus and management on the defensive end that they're always going to get, like, he's not going to get in a situation where things are just going to get out of hand in a tournament game. But you still got to score. You still got to get buckets. For the folks that are left in here, I'll go for a few more minutes before I wrap. Victory Lap Friday. I know people are getting to dinner and dates and stuff like that, but this was so cool just to see my team win an NCAA tournament game and react here as fans. Christian Bishop's going to have his hands full. And I believe Timmy Allen fouled out today as well. So how we try to deal with that size, just take some risks, lots of doubles, trapping, do whatever you can. Let's go. Let's go. What's good, Josh? Thanks for grabbing that list, Longhorn Rider. I appreciate it. Yes, it's something to pay attention to. That's one thing that was being pushed heavy when people were making their brackets. Teddy was tough. Teddy was tough today or yesterday. You talking about Teddy Allen for New Mexico State? The game that he had against UConn, took out UConn. Some big upsets. How are we looking at some of these other games right now? Let's see. Duke's up 10 at half. Damn, see, that's why I didn't want to touch the Illinois Chattanooga game. Didn't want to touch it. I was getting fraud vibes from that all the way through. Iowa State, LSU looks like a rock fight, as I thought. So, yeah, Dessou is the other one. I like Dessou's energy today. I see that's you guys are in the right spot. We're keying in on the bigs because that's really going to be where this game on Sunday is going to kind of play out. I did, the thing with Dessou is he's not healthy, so it's really tough. I feel like it's really tough for him to finish around the rim because he had some bunnies. Maybe some of it was nerves. I don't know. But overall, he's done a really good job of stepping up with those Trey Mitchell minutes and helping and providing that support in the interior. He's going to be critical on Sunday. Critical. Yeah, we can score on Purdue. We'll have matchups. But the paint, at some point, size does, size can be an issue for sure. So we'll have to figure out how to navigate those two. Again, if we're aggressive and we're hunting, because to this point about defensive efficiency, if Andrew Jones is coming off screens and he's hunting and looking to score, if Marcus Carr is in his midi-game pull-up game where he's taking advantage of the space that he's getting, Christian Bishop at times, I don't even mind. Some people get mad when Christian Bishop goes one-on-one. I don't mind when he tries to go and blow by somebody and get a layup or a dunk. As long as you're being aggressive, I'm with it. Don't get me started on Jerry. You trying to get my blood pressure up. Yep, we let off on the top with those guys. That was my biggest thing. Brock Cunningham as well. All the holdovers that stayed because they're still the ones. Marcus Carr and Timmy Allen, love the fact they're here. Those guys are hired guns, especially by the new coach. Ramey, those guys that stayed here, this is very meaningful for them, and so really happy for those guys. They didn't come to Texas like some other guys have over the years to go over in the tournament. March Madness. We're gonna need Ramey to get some buckets on Sunday though. I can't have that brother coming out there smoking layups again. Get it out your system. Get it out your system now, brother. We're going to need you to get some buckets too. It's a tough ask. It's a tough ask to go out there and say, hey, I'm going to need you to deal with Jaden Ivey, and I'm going to need you to try to get me 12 to 15 points and make your open threes. That's a tough ask. There's a lot of energy being expended. But in March, at this point, if you want to win, if you want to survive and advance, if you want to play basketball next weekend, that's what you got to do. That's what we're going to need from you. Brock Cunningham, great point, Brandon. Brock Cunningham, getting in the mix. They did a great, look, we got I thought we got a favorable whistle today. I'm not going to go crazy, but they let us play aggressive. And so guys like Brock, guys like Courtney Ramey who like to get up, into their man, coming off screens and whatnot. You love to see it. Can we stay out of foul trouble inside on Sunday? Look, if you're Purdue, you guys see, this is how I look at the games too. Like whether it's Virginia Tech or Purdue, because we know our team. We know what we're really good at. We know what we are inconsistent with, and we know what we struggle with. So if you're Purdue, if you're Matt Painter and you're looking at this, how do you attack Texas? Knowing Texas's strengths and weaknesses. So, and I'm not saying that to be negative, Nancy. I'm saying that so you can be mentally prepared on what you're getting ready to be up against in terms of what your opponent may throw at you. There was a comment made during I think it was either halftime or whatnot because of the familiarity with the Virginia Tech coach and Chris Beard, and they asked him, "Have you been surprised by anything you've seen yet?" And he said, "No." But he's like, "I know how they play. Like, I know what they do and things of that sort." So that's how we have to approach the game. To me, if you're really, really into this shit like I am as a fan, I want to know like, I want to know that, hey, Christian Bishop, be on look, they're gonna try to throw that ball back inside. So be tough, right? Hold up, try to all costs avoid foul trouble. We're gonna help and force them to kick with the guards. We're gonna try to speed those bigs up. We're gonna try to make them have choppy feet. They don't move the great. They are big, but they don't move the best, which is why the defensive numbers are is what it is. And we're gonna take advantage of them and put them in conflict. We're gonna try to have them get switches. We're gonna try to take that big man out the paint and let him dance a little bit. So what is the opponent throwing at you? And then where can we take advantage from there in terms of, the tactics? Because we do have a lot of guys that have the potential. Timmy Allen in mid-range, Marcus Carr can get into his bag. We know what AJ1 can do. So across the board, if they get a switch, this is something that did piss me off today that I saw. They put one of them, that kid Murphy, who I know it's disrespectful, but I don't care. We eliminated them. I called him a student manager. When he's guarding Timmy Allen in the post, that's a red alert situation for everybody on the floor. Get out of the way, throw the ball to Timmy, and let him go to work. I don't care if he misses or whatnot. That's our matchup now. We got to play matchup basketball sometimes. So if there's a mouse in the house or a weak link, get out of the way, clear your man out. So they're going to have to come and double and help and do all this stuff. They're now in conflict on backdoor cuts or wide open 3-point opportunities for us to get good offense. So just being mindful of those things when we do see opportunities to take advantage. Being mindful of that. Man, if we can somehow get past Purdue, I agree. I agree. It's going to be tough. I personally didn't think coming into the tournament, I didn't see the path of how Texas would beat Virginia Tech and Purdue, but you've already checked off one. I thought they would beat Virginia Tech. I didn't think they would beat Virginia Tech and then go and beat, I thought Purdue would needed to get upset by Yale. I'm going to have to go and watch their game today and see how they looked. I know how they looked in the Big Ten championship game against Iowa, who was eliminated by Richmond. But I want to see that. I want to see how they match up again. Texas baseball, Ivan Melendez hit one. Let's see those guys get back on track too. I know they've been battling some injuries during their regular season. Look, what you guys got to understand, and I know what do we even know what conference the referees were from today? This isn't a referee rant or anything, but my point is, Brock has a reputation. Brock's not going to get the same. At this point, he has a reputation across college basketball. I was going to say in the Big 12, because you started seeing it play out at the end of the Big 12 season. If you're really paying attention to how he was being officiated versus when somebody else on our team or another team may do something, they give it a little bit more leeway because that's his game, is to be, that's why we call him Captain Scrap. That's his game. Ryan said it'd be awesome to see you cover the baseball team more. I wish I could too, man. It's just bandwidth. It's just bandwidth. Working full time, covering the Cowboys, covering Texas football, which is 24/7, covering, and also like my direct fandom from the sports that I can speak knowledgeably and intelligent on. I will, my buddy goes to a lot of college baseball games, so maybe I'll bring him on as we've talked about this before, but if he's serious, I'll bring him on as a correspondent so you guys can get some baseball coverage because they do deserve it. They definitely do deserve it. I wish all the, softball, women's basketball, if it's just bandwidth for me personally. I think Ramey can really bother Ivey. I think so too. But those guys that are elite athletes is different. I mean, you saw the problems we have with the Baylor guards in terms of lateral quickness. I haven't forgotten about the times where they made our guards look like traffic cones. So that's gonna be a tough ask. But they have to attack Ivey. I think you're gonna have to. I think I think the plan for Ivey is to. I think the plan for Ivey is to really attack him from a standpoint of what you did with James Akinjo on Baylor in the first half. I think that's what it's going to have to look like. Try to just have him give up the basketball. Want to see some of these guys play basketball without the ball in their hand, that type of thing, which he can do, but make people play left-handed, so to speak. Going deep. Points in the paint. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, I'll put it this way. What happened, this is kind of how I'll tie this up. What Chris Beard did today, in my opinion, is you set at least the floor for your season this year. I still personally, just with the expectation I had, if they were to lose on Sunday and this is it, I would still overall say, it's a little disappointing for year one, but it's not where I would have been had we lost into the season, losing 4 straight and no tournament win and losing in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. And that's it. Like, that would have really not sat well with me. So now it's like, all right, year one, we accomplished something. We got a tournament win. That's an accomplishment. We got a tournament win. I know, again, we got to look at this like a startup. All right. We are not Kentucky. We're not even Baylor right now. Where every year they're thinking Final Four in terms of the expectation, right? So there's some low bars we got to cross first. And the lowest of the bars is winning a game in the tournament. Something that, even going back, forget Shaka Smart not being able to do it. That's something that Rick Barnes struggled with for several seasons, and teams that he had that probably should have gone even further than what they did. But what Chris Beard has done is he set the floor. Okay. Now, if you go to the Sweet 16 and you do that, beating a Purdue team that I think we all agree is pretty good, if you do that, now people are looking at this season as like, oh, okay, this is we are going into the Moody Center with a team coming off a sweet, like, that's a big accomplishment, in my opinion, for where we are right now. If you're Duke, going to the Sweet 16 is not good enough, right? Yeah, we're not. Yeah, but think about it, right? Kentucky, that's what they care about. Like, that's exactly what they build around, and like they're a blue blood in terms of college basketball. That's where they identify themselves. So, it is that loss. Catastrophic. Shout out to St. Peter's. No, we're gonna have to play really good basketball to beat them. We can't. Whoever said it earlier that we have to play better than what we did today for 40 minutes, I wholeheartedly agree with you. We are going to have to play better today than we played or better on Sunday, than we played today to move on. I do agree with that. I don't think you can come in here and against Purdue and have some of the same problems that we saw with Virginia Tech today. But great building block for this program, for this basketball program. Us as a fan base, we've been asking for, like, man, can we just get some, can we just at least, enjoy not being kicked out of the bracket right away? Yeah, the Kentucky loss, I think 98% of brackets were busted with the with that. So play better than what we played today. I'm talking about how we started the basketball game offensively. Number one, that's you can't start a basketball game 6 for 22 and not make the shots that we made. We're not going to get away with that against better teams like Purdue. We will lose. So they have to improve there in terms of offensive consistency throughout. I do think you're going to have to mix up pace against them a little bit better, in my opinion. Um, and I don't think you can fall asleep at the wheel. In certain, not that it hurt us today, but I don't think you can fall asleep at the wheel on some of the defensive lapses we had down the stretch against Virginia Tech, where they and being a little bit more mindful of some of the backdoor stuff. Now Purdue doesn't do as much of that as V Tech does, but we are going to have to play better in that regard, and we're going to have to play without fouling. Can't Timmy Allen? If Timmy Allen fouls out against Purdue, we're out. If Christian Bishop is in foul trouble, we're out. I love Dylan Dessou. Dylan Dessou can't play the whole game against those two bigs. So, those things we have to just, again, it's just being mindful of it. And that's what I mean by playing better on Sunday than we did today. Yeah, he's going to have to – Timmy's going to have to get people in foul trouble. Again, old man game, all of those things. He's going to have to play better against that opponent. Because there's times too where he just, if he doesn't have something going or he misses a couple bunnies, where he won't touch the basketball for a few possessions or won't be very aggressive in terms of looking for his shot or getting to his spots. So I would like to see him just maintain that aggressiveness all game long against those guys, try to foul them out, put them in conflict, be the aggressor. We got away with that. Yeah, not doing it at all. That would be that's room for improvement right there. Absolutely. No, I mean it's good. They didn't play. They played well today. I'm not doing nothing to take away from there. They played the second half is how I want Texas to play offensively all the time, and I don't think that's too much to ask because they're capable of it. And when they don't play like that, they're not playing up to their capabilities. So we'll see. Purdue is bigger. We have them gassed. Hey guys, don't get overconfident. Paxton, I love you, brother, but don't get overconfident. I do think we'll be able to lean on them and utilize our physicality and whatnot, especially if they get in foul trouble. Absolutely. But we also got to remember we've gotten killed in the paint this year by other bigs who aren't the most skilled worldly big men either. Our tallest guy is 6'9". So we have had problems with that. Again, I brought up David McCormick twice, had his way with us. Eddie Lampkin had his way with us. Blow Thamba had his way with us on the interior. So that's a weakness. That's not something we can hide. But it can be a team effort in terms of helping out, pushing pace, making those guys come out and guard people on the perimeter, making them and putting them in conflict. Some of the two-man game things we can do offensively. I think where you really, to this point about gassing, I think you got to put them more on conflict, defensively, because I do think what I've seen is, people even there were times today in the Virginia Tech game where we're trying to guard their big with Brock Cunningham and he's able to turn over his shoulder and get right to a spot. So just something to be mindful of. Anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon. This was fun just to recap everything with y'all. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, show us some love. Appreciate everybody coming in. Victory recap. It's cool not to get on here and yell and be mad about stuff, but actually celebrate this team. And we're mad because we know what this team's capable of. That's why we're mad before, right? Like, I don't get on here and get mad when the team is not good, and I know they're not good. Like, that's, it is what it is, right? But when you know that somebody's capable of something, and when you know that guys are not like what Marcus Carr is capable of, what Andrew Jones is capable of, what Courtney Ramey is capable of, and you don't see them playing to that or just getting in their own way, that can be frustrating. So to see them bring it today, get Texas off the hump in this drought, get a tournament win is awesome. Guys, thank you to BUSR, official sponsor, official sportsbook, official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective, BUSR.com/Fanatic. We got the bet $1, win $10,000, potentially win $10,000. Winner will be announced, I believe, March 26th, up to the Elite Eight. So really cool that we got that going on as well. All right, y'all. I will be back with more. Horns always up. Congratulations, Texas basketball. Congratulations, Chris Beard. And like I said, congratulations, Andrew Jones, Courtney Ramey, Brock Cunningham, Jace Fabris, all of my guys that stay loyal to the soil. We really, really appreciate y'all. This win was for y'all. Real rap. Horns always up. Love y'all.